In Class 9, we're going to take a look at some instruments and working with specific instruments. Now, we're not going to be able to go through every instrument. I think probably the closest thing you'll find to that is the master mixing course, where I go instrument by instrument and I talk about equalization and compression techniques and some of the things that you would occur. But we're going to focus on compression techniques that are specific to basses, including some side chaining from keying from drums and stuff like that. We'll do a little bit of that, showing the different ways that you can compress basses, how you get the presence and energy out of acoustic guitars without getting the boominess, and the different compression techniques for balancing out these instruments, controlling the attack, setting the placement, getting the solidity out of the individual sounds so that they image really solidly. What vintage components work best, for electric guitars, for acoustic guitars, for basses, working with pianos and keyboards and, all different kinds of programmed synths. They're all different strengths and weaknesses and things for different styles or types of compressors for each of these different things. And the key really with any sound and working with this stuff, because a lot of the techniques that I'll use here may be very similar for acoustic guitars and electric guitars and acoustic pianos. And then there will be some techniques that will be exclusive to those individual instruments, ways that you deal with specific problems that those instruments give. Like acoustic guitars always, almost always have some issue with the boominess of the sound or the stringiness or string noise or fret noise, that type of thing. And there are ways of sort of managing those things working with compression and dynamics. And so these are things that we're going to take a look at, for those specific types of sounds and how you can bring out the most character of each of the individual sounds, how to make that acoustic piano sound really rich and very transparent, not sound like it's compressed or heavily compressed, right? You want that acoustic piano maybe to sound really natural and big and rich. And there are ways to kind of work with that and work what I would call transparent EQ, right? Or compression, rather, transparent compression. In transparent compression, you don't hear the compression. You just feel like when you take it away, you feel how it brings in a presence to the sound, but you don't really hear necessarily the compression. And then we'll get into some techniques for how you really make it pump and breathe and really feel the compression from it. So we'll get into specific instruments and using a lot of all the techniques that you've learned in the previous 8 classes and applying all those different vintage components that we've talked about as well, and which ones sort of stand out in terms of the best compressors for these individual elements. Okay, let's move on to Class 10 preview.